You know that mass text message you might get, or maybe you've even sent it yourself? The one asking for forgiveness? Well, it turns out that simple, modern act raises a really old question about what faith actually is. Today, we're going to unpack that, using a pretty insightful sermon by Pir Syed Muhammad Ali Zanjani as our guide.
Yeah, we're kicking things off with just a text message. Seems pretty small, right? But stick with me, because it's actually the key to unlocking a much bigger idea. The difference between just going through the motions and having a real, heartfelt connection.
So, here's our game plan. We'll look at this whole month of messages thing, then dig into habit versus our true nature. After that, we'll talk about the language of love, trust in an unseen plan, and then bring it all back to what's beyond those forgiveness texts.
All right, first up, a month of messages. The whole story here begins during Shaban, which is a month of reflection in the Islamic calendar. And lately, a really interesting new tradition has kind of taken hold.
So as the 15th of Shaban gets closer, you might see your phone just light up. It's this flood of messages, right? Usually the same copy and pasted text asking for forgiveness for the whole past year. And you gotta admit, it's a wild mix of ancient tradition and modern tech. Maybe it's so popular because it feels efficient. You know, you can check off a spiritual to-do list with just one click.
But that leads to a really important question, one we should probably all ask ourselves. When we do these things, are they becoming just another habit? Kind of like Valentine's Day or Father's Day, where you just do the thing because you're supposed to. Are we really feeling it, or are we just going through the motions?
Okay, so let's move on, because that one little text message actually points to this massive internal conflict that every single one of us has. It's this constant tug-of-war between our habits and who we really are deep down.
First, let's break down a key idea, fitrat. This is our innate nature. Think of it like our core programming, our spiritual DNA. It's this universal thing that's inside every single person, no matter their background. It's like our factory settings before the world starts installing all its apps on us.
And on the other side, you have adat. These are our acquired habits. So if fitra is the factory settings, adat is all the software we download over the years, the good, the bad, and the buggy. It's all the behaviors and patterns we pick up from the world around us.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. Look at how this works. Our fitrat, our innate nature, is something simple, like feeling thirsty. But our adat, our habit, is how we deal with it. Do we drink water, or do we reach for something destructive? Same thing with hunger. The need to eat is fitra, but stealing to eat, that's adat. This clash is happening inside us all the time.
The problem is, this conflict can take us to some pretty dark places. It's our adat, our habit, that makes us point fingers when something goes wrong. We blame our family, our friends, our boss. And when we run out of people to blame, we start blaming our fate. It's never our fault, right?
So, if our habits are leading us off a cliff, how do we find our way back? Well, the answer is actually already inside us, in our fitra. It's all about getting back to the core, getting back to the language of love.
This idea of mahabbat, or love, isn't a habit we learn. Nope, it's part of our core programming, our fitrat. It's why a mother cares for her child without a second thought. It's why a father endures so much for his family. It's that genuine joy you feel when a friend succeeds, or that deep ache when someone passes away. That's not learned, that's just human.
I mean, think about it. A tiny baby will cry in just about anyone's arms, but the second it's back with its mother, it's quiet. The baby can't talk, but it knows. It's silently saying, "This is where I feel love." That's fitrat in its purest form. And deep down, we're all still searching for that same feeling of home.
You know that spiritual restlessness we sometimes feel? That ache inside? That's basically the same search. And it's why you can't force tears in a prayer. They only come when they're real, from what the sermon calls the heat of love that's already burning inside you.
Okay, but let's be real. What happens when life just doesn't make any sense? When things feel totally chaotic and unfair? For that, we turn to a really powerful story about trusting a plan we just can't see.
So here's the story. The prophet Moses is told to learn from a wise man named Khidr with one simple rule. Do not question anything you see. But then Khidr does these bizarre things. He damages a poor man's boat, he kills a young boy, and then he fixes a wall for free in a village that was totally rude to them.
It looks crazy, right? But then, the hidden wisdom is revealed. The damaged boat was saved from a tyrant who was seizing all the good boats. The young boy was going to grow up to bring his parents terrible grief. And that wall? It was protecting a hidden treasure for some orphans. Each seemingly bad act was actually an act of protection.
And here's the big takeaway. If God's chosen prophet, Moses himself, could not understand the plan as it was happening, how can any of us expect to? It's a huge lesson in humility, really. It's about trusting that there's a bigger picture, a divine wisdom at play, even when things look totally unjust or illogical from our limited point of view.
So let's bring it all back home. How does that ancient story connect to a text message in our modern world? Well, it's all about shifting our focus from just performing a ritual to building a real, living relationship. Think about it. We're sending these mass texts asking for forgiveness from people we might barely know. But what about the parent who's just in the next room, or the spouse sitting right next to us on the couch? The real challenge is to focus on the people right in front of us who actually need our love, our apology, and our attention.
And even when it feels like we're totally trapped by our bad habits, when we feel attacked from the front, the back, the left, and the right, the sermon reminds us that God left two paths open, always. Two escape routes, you could say.
And what are those two paths? The path above us? Prayer. And the path below us? Prostration. One is reaching up with our words, and the other is grounding ourselves in total humility. No matter what, those two connections are always there for us. Which brings us right back to the beginning, but with a much deeper question. It's not just about a text message anymore, is it? It's about everything we do. Are my rituals just a habit, or are they a true connection? Are we just going through the motions, or are we tapping into that deep, innate love that is our true nature? That's the question we're left with.